I'm Cody from Wall Street Breakdown. We continue to take a look at budgeting. In the last video, I got you guys to make a couple of columns. Put your income and your liabilities in those columns and just take a look at where everything broke down for the month, where all your money was going and why it ended up being your fault. Because ultimately, it's always our own fault. I mean, we did this to ourselves, whether we're spending outside our means or we've just made a few decisions that we shouldn't have made, remained unemployed longer than we should have remained unemployed, whatever it is. I'm not here to judge why your financial situation isn't pristine. Nobody's probably is, except maybe Warren Buffett or Bezos or somebody. There's some people out there with some pretty nice track records. But for the majority of us, it's a work in progress. We're always trying to fine tune and refine exactly what we're doing. You guys are just doing that. And sometimes you got to start with the very basics. I know there's a lot of times when I go back to redo my budget, that's something that I do. I just absolutely start from the bare minimum again and take a look at everything to make sure that I'm not following a puzzle that's missing a few pieces. I mean, it doesn't really happen much, but what's the 15 minutes? We talked about that in the previous video. The 15 minutes to invest to go take a look at exactly how that breaks down leads us to some of our next steps. The first step is all that anxiety that you feel. You feel a lot of anxiety, I imagine, because a good majority of people out there are carrying around far too much debt, far too many liabilities for their income stream, and they know it, and they knew it before this, and they don't know what to do because things start to seem insurmountable. The process of fixing it, what we're doing here, gets them very anxious. The idea of being broke makes them very anxious. It's embarrassing, right? You don't want to have somebody come and take everything you own, do you? I don't think so. So, what can we do to stave off this anxiety? The thing you can do is you can master the process, because mastering the process will remove the anxiety of how you can budget, how efficiently you work when you're working with money. It'll take that anxiety away. You'll know that when it comes to money, when it comes to you laying down the law as far as the bottom line goes in your house, in your life, with your investments, whatever, you got it. You got it covered. And money is most people's concern, other than maybe health. Money is the world's concern. So now that you've mastered the process and got rid of that anxiety, the anxiety of going broke isn't really an anxiety anymore either, is it? So I know the anxiety at the beginning of this seems somewhat overwhelming because you're like, this isn't something I'm used to. I don't want to have to go and deal with this on a day-to-day basis and see very, very small changes take place over what feels like a large body of time where you have to remain being very consistent. You've got a lot of responsibilities. You know what I mean? It is your fault after all. You did do this to yourself. Don't blame this guy. Don't blame this guy. You did this to yourself. So, you've got a lot of responsibilities. You're probably a provider. There's people that are relying on you to be doing things correctly. That doesn't mean doing things correctly at every second of your day. Don't assume I'm expecting you to sit down and learn how to budget properly and take away all the fun out of your life. Trust me, money's lots of fun. You're going to have a heck of a good time having the anxiety of what bothers most people out of the way and also having a good time. That is, if you're one of those good time having type of people. You look like you like to have a good time. But you're a provider and a lot of people rely on you. So sometimes it's time to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and do your job, Mr. It's My Fault. Do your damn job. Go out there and figure this out. Get over yourself and make some changes. you're going to need to be fairly consistent. You're going to need to have behavior patterns that reflect exactly what you're trying to do. Some of that consistency means learning to say no. Learning to say no to yourself and learning to say no to other people. Hey, Dave, do you want to go to the movies tonight? Well, when Dave looks down at his budget and Dave realizes he only has $17 of fun money left that he can spend for the month, and there's 10 days left in the month, does Dave really care about that movie? Or is Dave going to go ahead then and take money from somewhere else at the end of the month when he's short because he just had to go out? I don't know, Dave. You tell me. People need to make a decision. Do you want to enjoy things right now? I know life is short. You could drive through the wrong intersection and game over. But for most people, averages show, and I like to play the averages, I'm a stock market guy. Averages show that we're going to make it for a good period of time. I would suggest our friend Dave decide to hedge his bets for the long run. Say no to fun today so you can choose whatever type of fun you'd like to have in the future. And the future holds so many prospects for fun. Whereas right now, when you're financially, a movie is about all you've got on the table for yourself. Not the most fun in the world. Maybe hunker down, be consistent, work on the process, learn to say no. Useless spending of things like that $6 coffee. I mean, honestly, do we need that? Wouldn't you rather find that at the end of the month, you had an extra couple $100 that you could do something good with? Something that's going to benefit you in the long run, benefit your family, your children, benefit yourself. Maybe you don't care about your family and children. Forget them. You're selfish. You just care about yourself. Well, good. If you care about yourself so much, you'd be taking care of your money. Right? So now that we've dealt with the anxieties, we've dealt with the responsibilities, we've dealt with the only thing that you can control is your behavior. That's the consistency. The only thing you're going to be able to control, not the markets, not how other people react to things. You're not going to be able to control a lot of stuff. But your behavior, the next step that you choose to take, that you do control. So that kind of falls on your shoulders there, champ. Maybe it's time to start controlling yourself and not spending a bunch of money on things you don't need. So now that we've got our columns, we've seen that our liabilities are most likely a little higher than our income. Higher than we'd like, that's probably a for sure. So in a very simple little demonstration, we've now realized that we're pretty anxious. Well, the anxiety is going to fade away, rest assured. We've found that we're at fault and we need to make some behavioral changes, which are probably going to be difficult because usually saying no to things that you want to do, even if you just kind of want to do it to stave off boredom, it's kind of difficult to rewire yourself that way. You're going to find a lot of resistance. You're going to have to learn to get over it because you want to know what resistance is. It's probably working at Walmart when you're 75. So, would you rather figure it out now or suffer in the long run? I don't know. Just saying. Just me kind of saying that. But I'm shooting for not working at Walmart at 75, even though I love Walmart as a company. So we've said no. We've said no, we're not going to be going to that movie. I'm going to hold on to this money and make sure that I don't dip into another fund to pay for maybe what's a better idea coming along tomorrow. I can sit at home. I already have allocated my monthly payment of Netflix into my budget. So I've got tons of movies. You guys could come to my house or stuff it. I've got stuff going on anyways. So you need to set a monthly budget. You need to figure out exactly where all that money is supposed to go. We're going to cover that in a future video. just how you set this monthly budget. But now that we've seen this income and these liabilities, and we know what we're working on slight behavioral pattern changes. That's it. I don't want you leaving here thinking you need to reshape your entire world. That's not going to happen. I can't ask that of you, and that's way too daunting of a task for you to take on your shoulders. Don't do it. This is going to take, much like everything else, very incremental progress. I can't set out a goal for you and say, so this is how you budget. This is how you set up, like the accounting for it. This is how you allocate $1 for everything. This is how you don't spend any money. And, you've learned to streamline everything and you've sold off a bunch of useless assets and you're now budgeting so efficiently. I can't give you all that in one video. I can't give you all that as one piece of information to consume. What I need to do is give you these little steps. Anxiety will pass. Master the process. The anxiety will be gone. Be consistent. Learn to say no. Let's cut out some of the stuff we don't need. And then when we've done that, we've spent 20 or 30 days in a row, get a day timer, check it off. Make sure you're doing this consistently. Once you've done all that, no problem. Then we'll move on to the next step, because now your behavior is mimicking where you're looking to go. Because we're just going to run into conflict when I start showing you how to properly budget your money when the money still isn't there, because the money is still tied up in a $6 coffee or, a diamond studded strap on or whatever it is that you're spending your money on. We're going to start with one step at a time. The liabilities and income process, done. Anxieties, learning to say no, consistency starts today. You've got a responsibility, even if just to yourself. Right? You know better than this. I know you do. You're smart, that's why you're here, and we're going to make a change. I assure you of that. I'm Cody from Wall Street Breakdown. I thank you for stopping by. I love you guys. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I really hope that we're out there being able to help some people. Like we've said before, you can always check all the stock market news on Sundays during the podcast, where we cover everything that happened in the stock market in the past week. These videos here, though, they make me feel a lot better. This is what we started this for. We want to help. We want to make sure that you have a resource where you can fall back and be like, this guy's normal like we are. Maybe I'm a little abnormal, just like you are. Yeah, maybe. But this guy's normal like we are. We can trust to come here and he's going to lay it out pretty simple. We're not going to take grandiose steps and expect you to make ridiculous changes in your life overnight. One step at a time. Let's get things right. I know you can get it right. You guys have yourself an outstanding rest of the day.